I asked the other day, not rhetorically because I put an idea out there. I asked, what do you think the perfect college football calendar is? I'd love to be the commissioner of college football. I'd take the job. I think I could do it maybe after hours and still keep Late Kick on air here. But I said on Twitter the other day, at Late Kick Josh, one of my first acts, if I were college football commissioner, is I'd try and do a buyback program for all the TV contracts. And I'd buy them all back so that I could just completely restructure the way TV deals work. But that's going to be tough. I'll admit, could be one day, could be 2 days before I get that done. But in the meantime, I want to completely revolutionize college football calendar. You know, one of the things that rubs us the wrong way on Late Kick is when college football fans, usually in an argument about expanding the playoff, talk about how the NFL does it. Well, the NFL does it like this. And why don't we do it like this? Well, because college football is not pro sports. That's why. Period. That's normally where that should end. But then you got to get into the context. But my point is, I really can't stand 98% of the time when someone says college football needs to do it the way the NFL does. But there is one or two areas, and this one in particular, where I think the NFL gets it right. The NFL understood a while back that they did not have to compartmentalize themselves. They didn't have to acknowledge NBA season or baseball season. They were the behemoth, okay? They're the 500-pound gorilla. Everyone else has to get out of their way. They're the freight train. And so the NFL figured, just like we do with this show, our philosophy is we have no off-season. The NFL doesn't have to have an off-season. They can just go year-round. They can expand their calendar and go year-round. You don't play a game every week, but that doesn't matter because fans are interested in the sport, not just the games that are played, but everything that revolves around it. So you are not a planet. You are your own solar system. So whether it be the draft or the season or mini camps or free agency, everything is revolving around that Death Star, or the sun, I guess, in this case, that says NFL, that shield. Well, in college football, I could do the same. So I told Jesse, crank up the graphics machine because I want to put together our perfect calendar. Keep in mind, I have been elected college football commissioner. I have no staff, so it's just going to be me. I sit in a room, I have sandwiches brought to me, and in the meantime, I work on things like this. I want to change the calendar to where we have events year-round. Here is how, in an ideal world, let me print out my trusty graphic here. In an ideal world, here's how this goes. Let's start in January. You know, we got the playoffs there, and we got the national championship game. January is a really good month. Of course, you have recruiting extending into February, and then you got the second signing period. You may call it the late signing period now, at the beginning of February. But also, here's the first event that I'm going to add. You know, I've been a longtime advocate for allowing schools to schedule other schools for their spring games. If you want to, you don't have to. But if you want to, instead of playing an FCS team in the fall, you can schedule them. We'll get you a TV partner. You can pay them their $700,000. They can come in. You can have an actual game that fans would be infinitely more excited to watch than just a good-on-good scrimmage. And I'm going to announce who's playing who, or whomst is playing whomst, during February, right before March. When we get to March, I got an even bigger announcement for you. I am going to totally do away with the practice of announcing schedules 17 years in advance, or 7 years in advance, or even 7 months in advance. I'm going to know your schedule, but the rest of you are not, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to announce your conference opponents and the dates right before your league opens spring practice. And all of you in any given league are opening spring at the same time. So in the ACC, Clemson Tiger fan, you're going to find out which conference opponents you're playing and when you're going to play them, and then you go into spring practice. Take your time, go through spring, keep up with the players, keep up with the first and second scrimmage like you normally would. Then maybe you're about to play Citadel, whoever it may be, in the spring game, and then you wrap up spring. Okay? Then, if you're a Mississippi State fan, after you play the spring game, then you come out, and guess what I'm doing the next week? Right before you go into off-season mode, I am announcing you're out of conference. This is where it really gets good. We're not scheduling teams 10 years in advance anymore. We're going to announce your conference opponents, and we're going to do it with league and TV partnerships, and I'm taking it somewhat out of your hands. I'm sure I'll get no pushback on this from the league. I am announcing your out-of-conference opponents after spring. You're not going to know your whole schedule until after spring practice. Now, the pushback will be, oh, you can't do it that way. Why? Because it's never been done that way? Coaches are the ones who are going to have the main pushback. And the coaches are going to have the pushback because they like to practice during spring on early installs for teams. Tough. is all I can tell you, okay? We had Brigham Young and Coastal Carolina schedule a game in a week last year, and it worked out okay. So I'm not going to listen to you with that army of off-field analysts you have. Tell me, I'm looking at this. April, we would only have May, June, July, and August to get ready for that out-of-conference game in week 1. No. I'm not listening to that. Anyone who can't get ready for a football game in 4 months doesn't belong in the category making the kind of salaries that you guys are. So don't give me the pushback on that. But it even gets better. So then we go into May and June. That's where we are right now. Now the transfer portal right now is kind of year-round. I want to put not a closure on it whatsoever, but I'm going to put a moratorium on it during spring. And then it opens back up and we have the second wave season, as I like to call it. May market that. Maybe like a water park or something, I don't know. But we'll have transfer portal openings. And it's recruiting season right now. So May and June, and this is kind of naturally happening. It's organic. I don't have to do it. That takes care of May and June. Now, if you're looking for a down period, this will be it. Now, I'm open to suggestions if you guys want to put another event here. But in the meantime, we're looking ahead to Media Day. Media Day is in July, and those would be various weeks for various conferences. And then guess what happens in August? Camps open. Does it really feel like you just had an off season? No, because you didn't. We're doing away with it. Okay, we've already done away with it on Late Kick. It's working fine. We had incredible viewership the other night because you guys have fully bought into that philosophy that it doesn't exist. And so you're watching the shows like you would during the season. So thank you for that. But then we go into September, October, November, December, normal football season. December, of course, you have conference title games. Then you have the playoff selection process. Then you have the early signing date. And then you have bowl season. That should be the college football schedule. That's my entire calendar. That's the way we're going to do it. Not if, but dare I say, when I ride a wave of you guys' momentum and support to conference commissioner and really college football commissioner status. I would really like feedback on that, though, because here's what it looks like. And I want to know, is there anything you take away? Or, and this is maybe what I'm more interested in because I'm kind of set on the schedule, guys. But I do want to know, are there any other events? What should be public? What should exist that doesn't exist right now? Do you think there's a flaw in not releasing a team schedule until right around their spring practice for that year? I think it can be done, and I think it would be very exciting. I mean, think about what kind of event that is. I really undersold that. If you're a Tennessee football fan, or if you're, let's say, a North Carolina football fan, USC fan, can you imagine? I wonder if we're going to play Oregon this year. I wonder who we're going to have out of conference. It could be UNLV in week 1. It could be Alabama in week 1. I don't know. Do you know? I hadn't heard anything either. Well, my cousin works in the scheduling department, but they hadn't made the graphics yet. That'd be a really, really fun event. So that's my perfect calendar there. I am open to suggestions. I always want to put it out there, open to suggestions.